People often say that Japan is a beautiful place to visit no matter the time of the year. Well, that depends on where you are actually going, because in summer, places like Tokyo will be hot and humid, but in Hokkaido, it is one of the best seasons to enjoy the city. So I've listed down the best and worst times for you to go to Japan by each month. Let's not waste any more time because we have a lot to cover. One of the best things about traveling during late December to early January is the festive mood and the winter illuminations. Cities like Tokyo and Kyoto are very lively at this time as everyone prepares for Christmas and the New Year's. Also, if you love the cold weather, this is a time that you're going to want to come to Japan. As with fireworks, Japan excels at making lavish light displays in the wintertime. Many of these winter illuminations start in mid-November onwards, and you'll often find crowds taking the best photos of special spots and sceneries in Tokyo that are only available at this time. If you're interested in catching the major festive displays, you'll find them all over the city, and if you have time, you can take the Yamanote line around the city to see them. If you're heading to Hokkaido at this time, you'll find the best snow that's primed and ready for great skiing or snowboarding trips. Many major ski resorts in Hokkaido start opening in mid-November onwards, so make sure to pin this time on your calendar if you're planning to get some time on the slopes. This period can also be one of the worst times to travel because this is when the year-end and New Year holidays begin in Japan. People often take long vacations during this time and many stores will be closed, so you can expect things to be much quieter in the city. This is when many locals travel back to their hometowns to visit their family, pray at shrines, and exchange gifts. This is also the time when temperatures really drop and things can get really cold, depending on which part of Japan you're visiting. So my advice is to make sure you come prepared for the winter. March is often considered one of the best times to visit Japan because of the cherry blossoms that are just so pretty and breathtaking to see. This is also a great time to move around the country, so if you're visiting central Japan like Tokyo and Kyoto, or even southern Japan like Okinawa, expect temperatures to be cooling and pleasant. You'd usually only need to wear a light sweater, but do note that there might be rain on some days. Unfortunately, being one of the most popular seasons also means the biggest crowds. Forget about going to popular cherry blossom spots, as there will always be tons of people there. Also, you need to know that Japan's fiscal year starts on the 1st of April and ends on the last day of March. But why does this matter? Well, this is the period when the new school year begins and when employees make a move between companies. So, more local Japanese people will travel around the country during this time. Students will often go on school trips and excursions during late March before the new school year begins, while employees will find themselves relocating to other parts of the country before they join their new companies. Generally speaking, there's a lot of movement happening in both school and the corporate world at this time, thus increasing congestions at popular spots. That's why, as a result of this movement, famous spots like Tokyo Disneyland, Disney Sea, and Asakusa get even more crowded than usual. Lines to these attractions can become really bad during this time. Accommodations and transport will also raise their prices for the occasion, so if you can, you might want to plan for your trip to Japan some other time. By avoiding congestion and higher priced accommodations, you'll be able to have a more enjoyable trip, or at least one that doesn't break the bank. The best time to travel in April is right at the beginning of the month, after the new school year begins and when employees have settled into their new jobs. The amount of people traveling around this country at this time will greatly decrease, giving you more time to explore as you like, with less crowds at popular tourist spots. If you're in Tokyo, the first week of April is when the cherry blossoms will bloom, and you'll be able to enjoy them at your own pace. For a better experience, forget the main spots like Shinjuku Garden. Instead, look for lesser known cherry blossom spots so that you can avoid the crowds. Let me know if you want me to make a video to all the lesser known cherry blossom spots in Japan down in the comments. During the third Sunday of May, you can look forward to the annual Sanja Festival at the Asakusa Shrine. This is Tokyo's largest and wildest festival, which lasts for 3 days and about 2 million people will visit each year. So to say that this is a huge festival would actually be a huge understatement. Now, the worst time to travel in April would be right between the end of April to early May, because that's when the Golden Week holidays begin in Japan. At this time, the Japanese take long vacations and they move around the country. Tourist attractions, transport, and hotels will become much more expensive, especially when it comes to the bullet train, which is an essential part of every traveler's trip to Japan. During special holidays like these, tickets for the bullet train or Shinkansen will have an additional charge of 400 yen per ticket, and they will operate with only fully reserved seating. This means that if you miss out on getting a ticket and have a seat reserved for you, you will not be able to ride the bullet train. Usually on non-festive times, if you have an unreserved seat ticket, you are allowed to stand in the train or in the space between carriages, even if the other seats are fully booked. This option is not available during special holidays like the Golden Week and during Japan's summer vacation, which I'll explain later on in the video. If you're coming to Japan at this time, make sure to book your bullet train tickets in advance. Things usually settle down right after Golden Week, so if you're traveling down in the middle of May onwards, you will be able to hop on the bullet train to travel around Japan as you please, with no further restrictions or additional charges on the ticket prices. June is when Tokyo gets really hot, so instead of going there, consider visiting Hokkaido, Japan's northernmost island instead. Temperatures in Hokkaido during summer are beautiful, with an average of 12 to 20 degrees Celsius or between 53 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, compared to Tokyo, which could hit as high as 35 degrees Celsius or 95 degrees Fahrenheit. The most convenient way to travel around Hokkaido is to just drive yourself in a rented car. Just apply for an international driver's permit from your home country so that you're eligible for a rental when you land in Japan. Once you have your own transport, it makes it so much easier to visit stunning locations like the lavender fields in Furano and the Blue Pond in Biei, which is at its most beautiful during this time. But if you must insist on going to Tokyo or any other city within mainland Japan, June is also the beginning of the rainy season, so you can expect daily rainfall for the month of June through to the first week of July. The rain also typically lasts throughout the entire day, so make sure you're prepared for this. You'll see the local Japanese people carrying an umbrella all the time, and it's easy to get one or a plastic raincoat from convenience stores like Family Mart, Lawson, and 7-Eleven. If you ask me, traveling during this period is definitely doable, but you probably won't get the most fun out of it. August brings some of the biggest and best festivals, including Tokushima's Awa Adori and Aomori's approximately week-long Nabuta Matsuri. Both feature dancing and night illumination in the form of bright floats, fireworks, and lanterns, which are common themes for Japan during August celebrations. This is also the time when fireworks festivals go into full swing, with one of the most popular viewings by the Arakawa River in Saitama Prefecture that attracts plenty of locals and foreigners alike. By mid-August, you'll also be able to enjoy the Bon Odori, which is a traditional Japanese festival that is celebrated with dance and drum performances to welcome the homecoming of ancestral spirits. Unfortunately, Japan suffers from high temperatures and heat waves in August that can last for a long period of time, with temperatures typically surpassing 35 degrees Celsius or 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity is also very high this time, and if you're outside, you constantly feel like you're in a sauna, making it very hard to breathe. You will also be sweating like crazy, which can lead to dehydration if you're not careful. Many people who visit Japan during the summer are surprised at how hot and uncomfortable it can be. Aside from the heat, the middle of August also marks the beginning of summer vacation in Japan. This is when the Japanese people often return from the city to visit their family in other parts of Japan. And just like during Golden Week, bullet train tickets will be charged a special fee and only reserved seating will be available. Foreigners who have experienced summers in Japan often relate it to as though you were living inside an active volcano. Heat stroke is a very common occurrence during this time, and many locals suffer from its effects. So always make sure to drink lots of water at this time. September is a popular time to visit Japan, as temperatures start to come down, meaning days are cooler, and this is when the leaves start changing into that beautiful fire red color. During this time, it is pleasant all day round, and you can walk around to enjoy the atmosphere or to take in a different side of Japan that only appears during autumn. One of the best spots to see the autumn foliage in Tokyo is Mount Takao. Take note that this is also when the Silver Week period in Japan begins. It is where multiple public holidays line up close together to make it a long period of holidays. The exact dates will change every year, and it is important to check before you travel. During Silver Week, many Japanese people take extended vacations, so if your visit takes place during this time, you'll see increased crowds and higher prices all around the country. After the Silver Week holiday ends at the end of September, the local Japanese people will return to their regular school and work schedules. This is a highly recommended time for travelers to visit because the weather is awesome and places are less crowded compared to other peak seasons. The early of November is also the best time to see the autumn leaves that have all fully changed color into the bright red foliage that we all love, giving a stark contrast of color no matter where you go. This is also when most travelers will come to Japan, so be prepared to face higher congestion in popular cities like Tokyo and Kyoto. Overall, the best time to visit Japan is often considered to be during spring, which is late March to early May for cherry blossoms, or autumn, which is October to early December for autumn foliage. However, the worst time to visit can also depend on your personal preferences and tolerance for weather conditions and crowds. If you're going to face extreme conditions during winter or summer, just remember to bring along the right types of clothing to protect yourself. Japan is beautiful all year round, and it just depends on how you make do with what you have.